Think about what it would be like to build a marriage so solid and harmonious that it truly reflects God's love and principles. Imagine that every gesture and word you share not only strengthens the bond with your husband, but also glorifies God and serves as an inspiration to your family. Today, we're going to explore 12 powerful tips inspired by the Bible, designed to help you honor and respect your husband while elevating your relationship to an even deeper level of love, mutual support, and spirituality. Welcome, dear friends, to our space for reflection and learning on the Relationship in Focus channel. Here, we address topics that transform lives, marriages, and our spiritual walk. May this video be a blessing to your life, your home, and your personal journey. Before we begin, I want to ask for a moment of your attention. If you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel now, like this video, and share it with other women who are seeking to grow in their relationships and in faith. I promise that each of these tips will be grounded in the teachings of the Bible, and the final tip will be the most impactful of all. You won't want to miss it. Now take a deep breath and open your heart to the teachings we are going to share. Remember, marriage is a gift from God, and like any valuable gift, it requires care, effort, and above all, faith. Let's get into the tips. Tip 1. Recognize your husband's spiritual leadership. The Bible teaches us in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23, that the husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church. This teaching is not about superiority, but about responsibility and spiritual guidance. When you recognize your husband's spiritual leadership role, you demonstrate confidence in him and support for his decisions. This principle can be applied in everyday moments, such as seeking his opinion on important family matters or praying together before making major decisions. Reflect and ask yourself, what actions can I take to strengthen my husband's spiritual leadership in our home? Tip 2. Avoid destructive criticism. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1 reminds us, "A mild answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Words have power, and the way you communicate can either build trust or break it in a relationship. When you need to give feedback or address an issue, choose words that uplift and encourage rather than discourage. For example, instead of saying, "You always get this wrong," try saying, "How can we work together to solve this?" This approach demonstrates respect, fosters understanding, and encourages healthy dialogue that strengthens your connection. Tip 3. Value your husband's qualities. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 18 reminds us, "In everything give thanks." In the day-to-day routine, it's easy to focus on flaws rather than qualities. Make a conscious effort to recognize and appreciate your husband's strengths. Be intentional in expressing gratitude. It could be as simple as saying, "I admire your dedication to work," or "I'm grateful for how you take care of our family." Small, sincere compliments like these can make a huge difference and leave a lasting impact on your relationship. Tip 4. Pray for him and with him. The power of prayer is an essential tool in any marriage. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7 reminds us that husband and wife are joint heirs with the grace of life. When you pray for your husband, you are interceding for his spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. Praying with him also strengthens your connection as a couple and with God. If praying together is not yet part of your routine, start small. A simple prayer before bed or in the morning can make a significant difference. The key is to create a consistent moment of spiritual communion. Tip 5. Show support for his decisions. Proverbs chapter 31 verse 11 says, "The heart of her husband trusts in her." This verse emphasizes the importance of mutual support in a marriage. Even when you don't fully agree with the decision, show confidence in your husband and approach disagreements with respect. When differences arise, avoid undermining your husband, especially in front of others. Instead, engage in private conversations to discuss the issue and work together toward a solution that honors both of you. Showing support builds trust and strengthens your partnership. These were the first 5 tips out of a total of 12 transformative, Bible-based teachings. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these tips resonated the most with your marriage experience? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, if you are committed to honoring your husband and growing spiritually, write in the comments, "I am committed to true and healthy love." Tip 6. Admire his effort to support the family. One of the most noble traits a husband can demonstrate is his commitment to providing for and caring for his family. In Genesis chapter 3 verse 19, God reminds us, "By the sweat of your brow you shall eat your bread." This daily effort deserves recognition and respect from his wife. Show your admiration for your husband's achievements and dedication, even in small ways. A simple gesture like saying, "I see how much you give your best to provide for us, and I'm so grateful for that," can truly brighten his day. Publicly acknowledging his efforts, such as speaking about him with admiration to friends or family, also reinforces the value you place on what he does. When your husband feels that his efforts are valued, he experiences a sense of purpose and fulfillment, which further strengthens your bond in marriage. Tip 7. Avoid comparisons. Comparisons are one of the most destructive ways to show disrespect to your spouse. Galatians chapter 6 verse 4 encourages us, "Each one examines his own deeds, and then he will be able to boast of himself without comparing himself with anyone else." Comparing your husband to other men, whether in terms of work, appearance, or how he handles family matters, can lead to feelings of insecurity and emotional withdrawal. Remember, each person is unique. Your husband possesses qualities that others do not, and focusing on those qualities is crucial. Instead of dwelling on what you'd like him to change, reflect on his strengths and express your gratitude. This not only fosters mutual respect, but also inspires him to grow in positive ways. Practice replacing negative thoughts with words of praise and encouragement. What you may perceive as a weakness can often be transformed into a strength through love and patience. Tip 8. Practice patience. Patience is a virtue that embodies Christian love. Colossians chapter 3 verse 13 advises us to bear with one another and forgive the grievances you have against one another. Being patient with your husband's shortcomings is a powerful way to demonstrate both respect and love. The strongest marriages are built on understanding and time. This means accepting that your husband won't always do things exactly the way you would like, but appreciating the effort behind his actions. If there is something that needs improvement, choose the right moment to discuss it calmly and respectfully. When something bothers you, practice taking deep breaths before reacting. Ask yourself, how can I approach this issue in a way that is both constructive and respectful? Tip 9. Keep your promises. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and it is built when we keep our word. Jesus teaches in Matthew chapter 5 verse 37, "Let your yes mean yes, and your no mean no." Keeping your promises, even the smallest ones, is a powerful way to show your husband that he can count on you. Whether it's something as simple as promising to be available for an appointment or something more significant, like supporting an important decision, following through on your commitments creates an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect. Remember, it's not just about making promises, it's about carefully considering your ability to fulfill them. By honoring your commitments, you strengthen the bond of partnership in your marriage and foster deeper mutual understanding. Tip 10. Maintain emotional intimacy. In marriage, the emotional connection is just as important as the spiritual and physical. Song of Solomon chapter 2 verse 16 says, "My beloved is mine, and I am his." This beautiful verse emphasizes the importance of cultivating a close and trusting bond between husband and wife. Show your husband that you are there for him not only as a wife, but also as a friend and confidant. Ask about his day, listen without interruptions, and validate his feelings. Small, thoughtful gestures, like leaving encouraging notes or preparing his favorite meal, can go a long way in strengthening emotional intimacy. Fostering this emotional connection doesn't require grand gestures, but it does demand consistency. Set aside moments in your routine for meaningful, distraction-free conversations. Whenever possible, engage in activities that nurture your spiritual bond, such as sharing a devotional or watching a movie with Christian values. Tip 11. Avoid constantly complaining. Philippians chapter 2 verse 14 reminds us, do everything without complaining or arguing. Frequent complaints can wear down the relationship and make your husband feel unappreciated. Respect in this context is demonstrated by addressing concerns constructively instead of turning them into a cycle of negativity. When something is bothering you, take a moment to reflect on how to approach the issue in a productive way. Replace complaints with practical suggestions and engage in calm, respectful dialogue. For instance, instead of saying, "You never do this right," try saying, "How can we work on this together?" This approach not only reduces conflict, but also strengthens the partnership in your marriage. A peaceful home environment that reflects biblical principles of love and respect begins with thoughtful communication. Tip 12. Be an example of respect. As Christian wives, we are called to be examples of honor and respect, not only to our husbands, but to everyone around us. Titus chapter 2 verse 7 exhorts us, "In everything be yourself an example of good works." Your attitude in marriage can inspire not only your spouse, but also other couples who observe your relationship. This means practicing respect not only through your words, but also through your daily actions. Ask yourself, how do I speak about my husband to others? Do you lift him up or focus on his flaws? Avoid public criticism or negative remarks, especially when spending time with friends or family. Choose to use your words to build him up, showing your admiration and recognizing his qualities. When you lead by example in showing respect, you create a virtuous cycle where he is encouraged to reflect that same respect back to you. We wrap up here with these 12 powerful tips for wives to honor and respect their husbands, but this journey doesn't end with this video. Each of these tips has the potential to profoundly transform your marriage if applied with intentionality, faith, and love. Now, take a moment to reflect. How can you start integrating these teachings into your daily life? Remember, marriage is a spiritual and relational journey, and every small step you take brings you closer to a deeper, God-centered union with your husband. The impact of respect on marriage. Respect is one of the greatest expressions of love a wife can offer her husband. Just as Christ teaches us to love and respect one another, marriage is the place where this practice can be both the most challenging and the most rewarding. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 33 exhorts us, "Let a woman respect her husband." This biblical command is not a demand, but an invitation to build a relationship grounded in harmony and mutual support. Consider the impact your actions can have, not just on your husband, but on your entire family. When respect becomes a foundational pillar in your marriage, it radiates outward, influencing your children, friends, and everyone around you. It becomes a living testament to the presence of God's love in your union. How to start applying the 12 tips today. Now that you're familiar with the 12 ways to show respect to your husband, you might be wondering where to begin. The answer is simple. Start small. You don't need to implement everything at once. Instead, choose 1 or 2 tips that resonate most with you and begin working on them daily. For example, if you feel you could improve in recognizing your husband's efforts, start today by expressing gratitude for something he's done recently. If your goal is to strengthen his spiritual leadership, take a moment to pray together, asking God to bless and guide his decisions. Remember, every gesture of respect and love is a seed planted in your relationship. As these seeds grow, they strengthen your marriage, creating greater harmony and aligning your union with God's plans. The purpose of Christian marriage. Marriage, according to the Bible, is much more than just a union between two people. It is a reflection of the relationship between Christ and the church. Ephesians chapter 5 verses 25 to 27 describes how a husband should love his wife as Christ loved the church, sacrificing himself for her. In the same way, the wife's role includes showing respect and offering support to her husband. When we live out these principles in marriage, we not only align with God's will, but also provide the world with a powerful example of what true, enduring love looks like. In times when many marriages struggle with difficulties and challenges, embodying these values becomes a living testimony of God's grace and goodness in our lives. Christian marriage is also a path to sanctification. By respecting and honoring your husband, you are not just strengthening your relationship with him, you are also drawing closer to God, the author and sustainer of all things. Today, I want to issue a challenge. Choose one of the 12 tips and commit to applying it consistently for a week. Observe how this change impacts your relationship with your husband and transforms the atmosphere of your home. Then share your experience in the comments so that other women can be inspired and learn from your journey. For example, if you choose the tip to pray for and with your husband, take just 5 minutes out of your day to do it. If you decide to avoid constant complaints, practice replacing criticism with words of encouragement. This small challenge is a practical way to start making meaningful changes and gradually transform your marriage into a living reflection of God's love and wisdom. I want you to know that as a wife, you play a pivotal role in God's plan for your family. Your respect and honor for your husband not only strengthen your marriage, but also create an environment where the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, as described in Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23, can flourish. You may be facing challenges right now, but remember that God is faithful and always with you. He is your source of strength, wisdom, and love as you walk this journey. When you strive to live by biblical principles, God honors your efforts and brings blessings into your life and home, sometimes in ways you least expect. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey. If this content has been meaningful to you, please subscribe to the Relationship in Focus channel, like this video, and share it with other women who could benefit from these reflections. Don't forget to comment on which of the 12 tips resonated most with you and how you plan to apply it in your marriage. May God bless you, your husband, and your family, strengthening the love and unity between you. Until the next video, and remember, a marriage built on respect and aligned with God's word is one of the greatest blessings we can experience in this life.